there's an old saying that live your life like you might die tomorrow, right?
Mm-hmm.
But there's another saying that says learn like you're going to live forever.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast, helping appraisers increase their efficiency, quality, and make more money. Here's the guy who makes it his life's mission to create value for real estate appraisers nationwide. Your host and the Appraiser Coach, Dustin Harris.
Welcome back to the program, everybody. Dustin Harris once again hanging out with you, and a good friend coming up. Can't wait to introduce him. First, want to introduce you to two of our sponsors. Of course, we are sponsored by OREP Insurance. OREP is the insurance company that I use for my E&O. You should be as well. Check them out, orep.org. That's OREP.org. And Alamode. Alamode, of course, is the software that leads the nation for report writing software for appraisers. Check them out. Go to alamode.com or 800 Alamode. Well, I want to welcome back to the program Mr. Bryan Reynolds. He is the partner at Appraiser eLearning, popular speaker and USPAP instructor. He's the host of the Appraisal Update podcast, and he's the chief appraiser at Reynolds & Associate and Fine Point Valuations. Bryan, welcome back to the program, my friend.
Hey, Dustin, my pleasure, and always happy to join you on the podcast chair. So thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
I just want to clarify for anybody that might be listening, there's no video here. So you are in your chair, I'm in mine. We're not in the same chair.
Thank God you don't have video. I'm moving around while you're talking. I slipped some headphones on, which I hate wearing these on video, but it lets me hear better. So.
Well, you're looking good, my friend. If we had video, I'm sure people would be super impressed. But listen, I appreciate you coming back on the program. I know you're a busy guy. There's been a lot of changes over the last little while regarding education. Let's just start there. Let's start with appraisal education. What's going on?
The principle of change is what's been happening over the last few years. And I'll just say, I have a little education company where we teach in live courses, typically in a conference room of a hotel, what appraisers have been used to most of their career. And COVID hit. And
yeah, that little thing called COVID.
Yeah, nobody wanted to be around anybody, and understandably so. So my live classes pretty much went to zero. And thank goodness for being diversified, hey, right? Because if that was the only business I had, I'd probably be out of business. So, obviously the Appraiser eLearning model works very well. It's an online educational platform, and you could do that from the comfort of your own home. But I think the biggest change, Dustin, was the Zoom, and everybody knows what Zoom is now because they just have meetings that way, and we connect that way. And so we were actually exploring the virtual technology before COVID hit. We were just moving slow. And to get courses approved through that, you still had to have the IDEC approval. And I mean, it was a major undertaking with getting something approved. We were going to do it. But COVID, as horrible as that was, one of the benefits, I guess, or positive things that spurred off of that was the way we can obtain our education. The Appraisal Foundation approved that as a vehicle for taking your USPAP course that way. And most of the states have come on board and said, okay, it was kind of a beta test, but now there's proof of concept. We realize that it works. And it works very well. The only difference is when we take a lunch, you go in your kitchen and make a sandwich instead of trying to find a restaurant nearby.
Wipe off the mustard before you come back to the video, right?
Right. So it's been wonderful. We've had some folks, sadly, try and take advantage of that. And I tell them, I say, we've had people driving their car, walking their dog. We had one young lady went and got her hair done while she's taking CE. You can't do that. Yeah. I say, you have to act like you were sitting in that hotel conference room, right? You wouldn't be getting your hair done there. I tell appraisers, if you're out driving around taking comp photos, I want half your fee, for crying out loud. You're supposed to be in class. So let's not be unethical, especially in an ethics class. Let's not be unethical ever, right?
Very funny.
So we've had some challenges in that regard and tried to remind folks, we had one guy, Dustin, take his shirt off.
Well, why not? I mean,
Nobody wanted to see that. I promise you. Well, and later he's like, I'm so sorry, my AC was out. Okay, well, I don't care.
Your AC is out, your video's out, buddy. Trust me.
Yeah, leave the class.
In all seriousness, Bryan, this is a true story. I was looking at some investments in, I think it was about February or March of 2020. Okay, think back at what's going on then, right? And for some reason, I thought, I should invest in this fairly new company called Zoom. Right? I use it all the time. I think it's great. I had to buy some stock in Zoom, and then I didn't. Things have changed, haven't they? I think people forget. You brought up something a minute ago, and I completely forgot about this. Most states, I think there was a few exceptions, most states required before the pandemic for you to be physically in class for a USPAP class, right?
Yeah. A lot of states required that. I know Tennessee, which is one of the big states I teach in, that's where the home office of Appraiser eLearning is located in Nashville, Tennessee. And I always tell folks, hey, if you're in Nashville, stop by, because we love it when people just stop by and say hello. I had 2 appraisers in my class from Michigan the other day. They said, we're coming to Nashville for a visit. They wanted my Airbnb info. And I said, well, when you're there, go by West End Avenue and say hi to all the folks over at AEL, because we love it when practicing appraisers stop in and say hello. But Tennessee required that 50% of your education, not just USPAP, 50% had to be live in class, and then 50% could be online. And then until recently, they also had a requirement that all of your QE had to be live. You couldn't take it online.
Right.
And that was great when I was providing live education. But,
sure,
in this environment, or especially during COVID, people weren't taking live classes. And so it became a real challenge. And fortunately, Tennessee did come online and say, look, we're going to treat the virtual like live classes. Because when we get down to it, Dustin, it is a live class. I can see you, you can see me, we can hear one another. Right. You can raise your hand. I even put folks, I said, we're going to put you in a small group. Don't take your shirt off. Don't take your shirt off. I said, we're going to put everyone in small groups. And they just looked at me like, how are you going to do that in a virtual class? We figured it out. Yep. And we can literally put you in these little breakout rooms, just like you were in a conference room live, and say, you 6 are going to work on this case study, and you 5 or 6 are going to work on case study number 2. It works, and it works extremely well.
Yeah, it really does. Do you see things changing, Bryan? Obviously, we went from a change of mostly live education to mostly online. Do you see the live coming back, and do you see states making changes as far as requirements to go back to an actual classroom?
I don't think so, Dustin, because this has been highly successful. Again, the proof of concept is there. We know it works. It works extremely well. We have folks identify themselves holding up their driver's license. And quite frankly, have you ever done that in a live class? No, you don't do that in live classes. I mean, how do I know this guy's Dustin? He may have sent his nephew in to sit so he could be out appraising houses. Yeah. Hopefully no one does that. But with the virtual, we're looking at their driver's license. We're confirming it's that individual. And it just works so well. Not only is it convenient for the instructor and the educational provider, it's very convenient for the student or the attendee. And here's the cool thing I like about it. While if I have a class of 40 or 50 folks or 100, I don't have time for them to introduce themselves. And that's sad, because I like to get to know my audience. So what I do is I just ask some fact-finding questions, like how many of you are certified residential? How many are you trainees? And then I'll ask this question, and I have them put it in the chat. It's a way for them to get to use the tools. Yeah. Where are you located? And we've got folks from all over the country, right? All over the place. In my last class, I had California, Texas, Florida, Tennessee, Michigan, Wisconsin, Utah. I mean, we had a couple of folks.
All in one class. Isn't that cool?
In one class. Yeah. And you never get that in a live class unless you're at a conference. So to answer your question, I think it's here to stay. I mean, some of us get zoomed out a little bit. So the new courses I'm developing, I'm making them in smaller bites, right? I'll do a 4-hour class, which is half a day, and you're done, one and done, as opposed to the 7-hour, which really, if you're sitting in front of that monitor for 7 hours straight, that's a long day. Absolutely. So we've broken our USPAP courses up. We'll still do a full day occasionally, but what we find that the adult learner likes, the appraiser likes, is breaking it down. So we'll even break a 7-hour USPAP course into 2 days, 3.5 hours, but you've got to come back the second day. Or you get 0. So that's why I'm moving forward, going to do the 4-hour classes. People do like the live classes. I leave tomorrow afternoon. I'm going to be teaching in Cookeville, Tennessee on Wednesday. I have 25 students at that live class. And then finally, maybe you'll start seeing some hybrid. Can I say that word on your show? I don't know. No, I'm sorry. But maybe we'll start seeing some hybrid. In other words, maybe we'll start seeing, I'm teaching a live class with a live audience, and at the same time offering that virtual technology.
That's cool.
so that we have both, right? And we have the ability to do that now. I'm not doing that when I'm in Cookeville because there's just one of me there, and that's kind of hard. I'm not that good. It's hard for me to work the controls and do what I do. But so I think there will be an eagerness for live classes to an extent. I don't think we're going to go back to old school how we used to, but the conferences, that's an opportunity for you to attend live. And then appraiser eLearning, I'm excited to say we've started our road show again.
Oh,
and
nice.
so I'm excited about that. In December, we'll be in Sarasota, January, Seattle, February, New Orleans, and in March in Cincinnati. So if you're somebody out there that likes a live class, here's an opportunity, right? You can come attend live and get your CE, and also meet Hal and I from Appraiser eLearning. So we did that with the ANSI and had a bunch of success. And if one of your listeners right now is interested in us coming to their particular city, just reach out to some of the fine folks over at Appraiser eLearning, and we'll put it on the calendar. Or the road show is back, and we're excited about that.
That is awesome. I want to talk a little bit more about that, specifically CE versus education in general. But Bryan, I want to first pause and just to mention a couple things. Speaking of education, I've been asked recently, what is the most popular webinar right now on the Appraiser Coach website? And I can tell you without a doubt, it is the one that I did with Jim Stafford recently on unleashing the power of total. Speaking of a program that can absolutely transform the way that you do business, folks, there is so much power in total that we never even tap. And I learned this with Jim, and Jim taught me shortcuts and worksheets and how to do things and how to customize and automate things within Alamode. Check them out, folks. If you're with any other company, you need to check out Alamode. It's alamode.com or 800 Alamode. How often do we think about E&O? Well, hopefully not a lot, but at least once a year when you renew. Do you think about changing? Do you think about, what do you do? Just continue with the same company? I did for many years. And then I realized that there is a difference with OREP. Folks, check them out. They have been around a long time helping appraisers out, not just with their insurance needs, but also many other benefits. You can find out more by going to their website. It's orep.org. I will spell that for you. It's OREP.org. All right, folks, welcome back to the program. We are talking with a man at Appraiser eLearning, Mr. Bryan Reynolds. Welcome back, Bryan.
Thank you. Always happy to be here with you, Dustin. We have a good time.
We do. It's been too long since we've been in person, but speaking of which, let's talk a little bit about that. Do you see, obviously you've talked a lot about the technology and how it's progressed and the breakout rooms and you can, show your driver's license and you can take your shirt off in class, all this fun stuff, right? That we're dealing with now. But in your opinion, be honest with me, would you rather be in an in-person class or a Zoom meeting?
Wow, that's tough. I guess it depends. Can I use that answer?
Sure. We're appraisers. We can say that.
It's my favorite answer to most appraiser related questions because it's true. I guess it depends on what my schedule is. We're all very busy people. Sure. And so if I've got a lot on my plate, which when do I not, this technology works extremely well because I can do a 4-hour course or attend a 4-hour course, and then I can go look at a house or something, right? I can still have part of my day to do work. Whereas if I drive somewhere to attend a live class somewhere, I'm pretty much writing the day off, at least the day, maybe more than the day, right? So if I've got a lot on my plate, I like this. I like it a lot. It is like a live class. There's something to be said about the online classes because you don't have to sit in a Zoom meeting for 4 hours straight. You can get in, do 30 minutes worth and jump off. You can get on at 11 o'clock or midnight and work on your online curriculum. So there's a lot of pros there as well. There's something to be said about being next to one another. Right. I mean, I think humans need to be around humans.
Right.
So I like it all. I like it all. I obviously love the live interaction, the networking, the opportunity in that regard, but the virtual technology is really right up there. It's the next best thing, I think.
Love it. Yeah, really great answer. Let's talk about CE for a second. Obviously continuing education, appraisers have to take it every year. On average, it's about 15 hours a year, depending on the state, of course. And then there's other education. I know Appraiser eLearning does a lot of other education. This last year, you were very busy with ANSI classes. Most of them did not count toward CE, but you saw a lot of appraisers attending. Give me some thoughts on CE versus just general improvement.
Yeah, so I'm a big advocate for education, and I've taken education even when I didn't need the hours. I take education to learn, right? And I'm just one of those kind of weird guys, I guess, because I have a thirst for knowledge. I love learning new things, Dustin. And when I learn something new, I get excited. I get excited about how it will help me and my business. But then I get super excited and I want to share it with other folks.
Right.
So try and get the word out to other folks. And I would encourage appraisers to continue your learning and take classes that you find interesting. I know for me personally, when I found an instructor that I loved and I kept me awake and engaged, I would follow that instructor around. I didn't care where he or she was located across the country. I would be willing to travel there because I thought so highly of that instructor. Listen, you could take the best curriculum on the planet, and if the delivery or the deliverer is not so great, it's going to suffer. It's all in the delivery, in my opinion. So yeah, I would encourage folks, you know, there's an old saying that live your life like you might die tomorrow. Right. Mm-hmm. But there's another saying that says, learn like you're going to live forever. Yeah, I love it. And so I'm a big proponent about that. Learn like you're going to live forever. You know, if I go to a conference and I learn one thing, to me, it's been worth it. Yep. And I learn multiple things when I go to these conferences. So yeah, especially now with business a little slow, maybe it's time to diversify your practice. You know, I talked to one of my appraisers about, you know, appraising golf courses, and he lit up because he's a big golfer. And of course, you know, in order to appraise a golf course, you got to play it, right? so that's part of the inspection process. So he's really excited about maybe learning a little bit more about appraising golf courses. I don't know. We'll see. We might add that to our toolbox.
Diversification, right? Speaking of education, speaking of courses, especially there at Appraiser eLearning, Bryan, what are the popular courses right now? What are people reaching out to you for?
Yeah, so we've had highly successful go at this, and thank you for everyone that's taken a class from us. We appreciate your patronage, and hopefully you're coming back. We just came out with a brand new online course, and it's called Appraiser's Guide to Appraisal Inspections, and it's a course about what do you look at, and some people don't like that word, and I get it. You know, let's call it the observation, right? Whatever you want to call it. But we go pretty deep in that process. What should you look at? What should you be testing? Maybe if it's FHA. And I'm really happy with that course because I hired a guy and he drove around with me on 2 actual appraisal inspections. So we've put that into the curriculum. And if you want to do a little ride along with me, really take that course. Yeah, it's a good time. I go up in the attic, I go in the crawl space. Awesome. And so we have fun with that. Of course, HAMPS courses that we have on how to become a home measurement specialist. That's ANSI and everything around that. We're excited about that. Scott Cullen's got a great course on a recognized technique called depreciated cost analysis, right? It's a technique where you can support your adjustments, and we're happy about that. I mean, all the courses we have are fantastic. I'm honored to be part of this organization, and just run over to appraiserelearning.com and you can check out the library of courses. Peter Christian's got a 4-hour course with us, and they're actually going to be doing a virtual course on that tomorrow, and some others. But Appraiser Liability 101, I believe, was his course. So we're super excited about those offerings.
That is awesome, Bryan. So let us know. You had mentioned Appraiser eLearning. Tell us again how we can get a hold of you, especially you mentioned earlier, if we want you in our hometown, how do we reach out to you?
Yeah, sure. So the website's the best way, appraiserelearning.com. We actually have an instant little chat function there, and Diana does a great job with that. My email is Bryan, that's with a Y, Bryan, at appraiserelearning.com. We co-host 2 conferences every year. That's the ACTS conference, the Appraisal Conference and Trade Show. That's coming up in Sacramento, the beginning of 2023. So it starts off April 1st, 2023. And we co-host that with the National Association of Appraisers. So you'll see the whole Appraiser eLearning team out there. And then, of course, now we just started recently this year, Dustin, co-hosting the Appraisal Summit. And that's in Las Vegas with the National Association of Appraisers. So you have 2 options to see us live there, the ACTS conference in the spring, the Appraisal Summit in the fall. And as I said earlier, you've got a chance to kind of come check us out at some select live locations. We call that the Roadshow, right? The Appraiser eLearning Roadshow. So we would love to meet you in your own backyard.
Bryan Reynolds, Appraiser eLearning. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Dustin. As always, it's been a blast.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.